Welcome back to Fourth and Fantasy. The first week of the playoffs are now done, and some have been sent to the couch, and others are rocking and rolling to the second round. We're giving our 8 favorite rest of schedule player matchups for the 2025 fantasy playoffs, one each per position from each of us. That being said, let's get to it and get you more championships.
Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't follow no script. I make my own lane. Got a spreadsheet mind and a red rash brain. Dynasty beats got that tape in my veins. While they drafting by names, I'm exposing their game. No cap. We study the craft like film room rats. Gyms in the fourth while they stuck in the past. It's levels to the dynasty keep or flex. From rookies to pros, we demanding respect. That's real. And I ain't never need clout for my clout to show. Just a mic I take and a team I grow. This ain't just picks, it's principle G. It's fourth in fantasy where you build your legacy. We 10 toes down, yeah, we stand.
Mm, we're 10 toes down and we stand on facts. Welcome back to Fourth and Fantasy. I'm Huncho, and this is my guy.
Rocco, call me Rocco.
And we are your fantasy playbook to more championship wins. And Rocco, we are the land of the who and the whats.
We're on Fantasy Football Podcast for Dynasty Sickos. Bye, Dynasty Sickos. Let's get some wins.
But everybody is welcome, God damn it. And like I said, the first week of the playoffs are done. And Rocco, this is kind of some of my favorite times of fantasy, just due to one, these times very much matter the most because these losses means you're going right to the bench, you're going right home. There's no more tomorrow if you lose. It's better luck next year, if you will. So, in some of these in the first week, not everyone, and when you play as many leagues as me and Rocco do, the likelihood of you making it to the playoffs, and especially with us taking over several orphan teams in this past year or so, it's hard to make every one of your leagues you make a playoff. If you're, especially if you're in 50 plus, 40 plus leagues, you're not going to make the playoffs in every single one. But I try to, and I know in the leagues that I expect to, I typically do. But I'm I'm exactly super happy for a lot of my leagues that I'm moving over the second round. Some injury news that we need to pivot towards, like Devontae Adams, I know threw a little wrench into a lot of people's playoff schedules as he put up with a hammy. But we could be getting Drake London back. So, and then you get RJ Harvey, who comes up with a rib injury, but he's back at practice today. So, this is the week where a lot of our emotions are high. A lot of us want to keep riding to a chip. Right now, in one league, it's looking like me and my brother could be potentially facing each other for the chip. So, it's gonna be a real fun one this next week or so, just to determine how these rest of these leagues go. How about you, Rocco? How are you doing so far in these playoff trenches?
Man, I got 12 teams that are still alive. I had 10 teams that had to play in the first round. They went 5-5. Some teams continued to get fucked over by Justin Jefferson and Kenneth Walker, who I
Oof.
didn't really have any pivots. So I thought maybe, just maybe, they would have one game before the end of the season, but no, they did not. And those seasons were ended abruptly. I know in the DFB league, I kind of fucked myself by getting Justin Jefferson, and that has not worked out well for me. But I did have 7 buys, and with going 5-5, I have 12 teams out
Mhm.
of 32 left. And in my biggest leagues, 3 out of 4 are strong contenders that had the number 1 and number 2 seed. So hopefully they can get through, and I can win some money. And the other one, I've won 3 out of 5 years. The team's not great. And I actually fucked up because it's ESPN. It's my one odd ESPN league.
Yeah.
And I fucked up bad. I fucked up real bad. I left in Drake London, who obviously didn't play on Thursday night.
Oh.
I, I hit up I hit
Ooh,
up the commissioner. I wasn't gonna ask if he could fix it, but I just hit him up. I said, "Man, I fucked up. I fucked up, bro." And he's like, "What happened?" And I left London because I was playing him. So that's what it was. I was playing him, and I said, "I fucked up. I left London." And he's like, "Oh man, you did fuck up."
he said you
But I
did.
fuck. He said, "But I fucked up too.
He's like,
I
"Because
didn't
I'm
put
weak."
pits in." Yeah, you didn't put pits in, and you fucking lost.
Well, a lot
You
of people
lost.
can say they didn't put. Yeah,
I went, I, I went 8 on 9. Actually, I went 7 on 9 because my kicker didn't get shit. Because I hate fucking kickers. That son of a bitch for the Bengals. They got shut out, so obviously he got 0 points.
hmm
Um, didn't have those two and still found a way to win by 20. So let's go. I still have a chance to win that league. It's got me
Hey,
excited. But yeah, this is the most stressful week of the whole year. I'm kind of glad that I'm gonna be working at the Saints game and I'm gonna be like outside of my phone for like 3 hours. So as soon as I get access to my phone, I'm gonna look and find out. Otherwise, I'd be fucking, I'd be all fucked up watching these games.
hey man, I'm honestly it. Some I heard somewhere, seen somewhere where they said that fantasy and them being getting so deep into fantasy and so serious into fantasy sort of took away their joy in how they watch football because now instead of just watching football to just watching football, you're looking at the performances of these players, and
hmm
when they don't perform, it kind of just throws you, kind of just kills
Fantasy
your whole
football
experience.
brain rot. That's what I call it. Fantasy football brain rot,
Yeah,
where you can't even enjoy like a good defensive battle. You just like
she said,
fucking
"Where the
just
fucking
like
points,
you
baby?"
just bored, man. We watch for the fucking points now. Score some fucking points. The only thing that helps out a little bit is if you're in like an IDP league, like some of those defensive plays might get you something. But we live and die on on the wide receivers, the running backs, the quarterbacks scoring you fantasy points. And when it's a sloppy game, when it's a defensive battle, that helps nobody. So yeah, we call it fantasy football brain rot. It's hard to just enjoy a game. Maybe you get a little bit of that back in the playoffs. If you're not doing daily, if you don't have anything, riding on that game. But besides that, if the team's not scoring, I'm fucking falling asleep.
Hell yeah, man. And I'm just waiting for the rest of these teams to go. But nevertheless, we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep trying to get y'all chips. Even if and honestly, if I don't win one, something's rigged. Hopefully, I feel like I'm going to come at least with one championship under my belt this year, especially
One
in
out of how many? 20 something?
I believe, 18 chips. Or sorry, I'm on the way to 18 chips so far. So far.
Okay, so you got to win 2 games in 18 leagues to win a ship. You should have at least a 25% chance of. You should at least win 25% of those. So if you're, 18, you should win like at least 5 of them. In a good year, you should win like 8 to 10.
Yeah, man. Trying to come away with it, my boy. But you know what we say. We are your fantasy playbook to more championship wins. If we aren't winning them, trying to win you some as well. Now, let's get to the 8 players that we absolutely love for the rest of the playoff schedule to absolutely kick ass and get your teams to a dub, to fantasy glory, to the promised land, that fantasy championship. Rocco, I'm gonna let you go first. We're starting with the quarterbacks. Who is your selection at the QB spot?
Man, if you would have told me this guy would be the hottest, most consistent, most highest scoring quarterback in all of fantasy football before the season started, I would have told you are on drugs, methamphetamines. Um, it defies expectation. The fact that this guy, is consistently putting up 20 points a week. He's putting up 20-point performances in every week that he started since week 6. For the most part, 25 points every single week. I think he had one sub 25, two sub 25 point performances. One was 20 points, the other one was 24 points. So you're getting weekly consistency out of this guy. I'm talking about Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby.
Jacoby Brissett. And I expect him to continue to do that. He has a great matchup this week against the Atlanta Falcons. We just saw how the Falcons in Tampa Bay just shot out and had a lot of explosive plays on the last Thursday on the way to a very explosive week winning week for a certain tight end that we might talk about later. But Jacoby Brissett has the Atlanta Falcons this week at home, and then to finish the season, the Cincinnati Bengals, who one of the best bets to shoot out, to have a shootout type performance. And some of the things I was looking at that make it possible is the fact that he leads the league in attempts since he's gone into the lineup at 345. The next closest is 301, so he's clearing the next closest guy by 44 attempts.
Mm-hmm.
He has the most yards in that time span with almost 2,500, almost 200 yards more than Dak Prescott, who's second. He also has 15 touchdowns, which is good for fourth during that time span. So this guy has a great matchup. He's been super consistent, and I have him in a lot of spots. And I'll just tell you some of the names I'm thinking about starting him over:
Oh
Lamar
no.
Jackson, Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Bo Nix. There is a lot of really, really good quarterbacks that should be auto starts that you have to seriously consider starting him over this week and possibly next week. So, yeah, I think he's the true definition of a league winner. He's a guy you picked up off of waivers, and he's been fantasy gold. And these are the type of guys that win you money at the end of the day.
Hey man, I'm not going to fight you too much with that one. I was speaking with my brother not too long ago actually, and he was asking. He comes to me from time to time for some fantasy advice, and I try to you know help him out where I can here and there. And he was asking at that during that time, should he pick up Jacoby Brissett because he was going on the tear? That was when he was first starting to show a little inkling of something, and him and Michael Wilson doing their thing. I was like, yeah, man, you should probably just to have him as your backup quarterback. You just never know, right? So yeah, I like Jacoby Brissett, and he's made the Arizona Cardinals and the offensive playmakers on that team relevant again. We've said it a lot of last year where there was no reason why Trey McBride just disappeared. There was
Mm-hmm.
no reason why, and obviously now with his up and down year, Marvin Harrison Jr., especially with the injuries and kind of the slow start he had to the beginning of the year, we would always say there's no reason why he wasn't getting targets. But I think there's honestly, I think there is true or some type of inkling, or I would say some type of correlation to the the overall success of the passing game and the change at quarterback. There's some type of correlation. I'm not to
Mm-hmm.
say, or I'm not here to say that Kyler Murray is a bad quarterback or he's honestly a shitty quarterback. There's a ton of quarterbacks that I can name off the top of my head that are completely worse than Kyler Murray, 100%. But it from what we've seen from Jacoby Brissett, from what we've seen, the increased production and touchdown production, especially for Craig McBride, I like me Brissett. And then when you're looking at, like you just said, they got the Atlanta Falcons, who are, you know, somewhat towards the middle of when it comes to quarterbacks. They're ranked 17. They let a NFL average of 17.4 fantasy points to quarterbacks. And then for the Cincinnati Bengals, that's the real mother. That's the real holy grail, right? For if you make it all the way to the championship round and you have Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback, I would feel pretty decent with him going against the Bengals. Why do I say that? It's because the Cincinnati Bengals absolutely happen to rank 30th against quarterbacks. And they are letting a average of 21.3 fantasy points to quarterbacks. Once again, the NFL average is 17.4. Okay, that's a 22.5% difference there. I'm telling you right now, I if I'm in the championship and I have percent, if I make it that far, I would feel okay. Marvin Harrison Jr. is coming back. Obviously, I'm not. My expectations for Marvin Harrison Jr. aren't that high. If I'm being quite honest with you, do I think he'll be somewhat of a help or uh, factor? Sure, but I still think that offense now is still going to run through Michael Wilson. Is going to run through Trey McBride, and then but they just saw Bam Knight just go out for the rest of the season. Michael Carter now slides into that role, or more of the RB1 role, and then the guy that they signed that we loved during the draft process, Corey Kiner, who is on their practice. So I had to toss that out there. So I
I just picked him up in a few leagues.
yeah, so I like me some Jacoby Brissett, especially if you make it to the chip, going against the 30th ranked defense against quarterbacks that is letting a whopping 21.3 fantasy points to quarterbacks. Yeah, sign me up for all the way for that one. I like that selection there, Rocco. For me, my quarterback that I'm going to be rolling with, which kind of makes me want to throw up a little bit, just because of I don't like rooting for no San Francisco 49er, but Brock Purdy, since returning, it has looked actually pretty decent. I will say. Week 11, he was QB6 through three tutties. Week 15 against the Tennessee Titties, QB4 through three tutties. And if you're looking at his schedule going forward, it gets enough to me. It looks a little appealing. Why do I say that? One, we just saw him last week, just that first week of playoffs against the Tennessee Titties, do what I expected him to do. As he in one of my leagues that I had him in, I started him over Dak Prescott. Turned out for the best because he had a better performance. I love that. But Purdy has the Indianapolis Colts, who which I will say don't have the sexiest of matchups. They are 13th ranked against quarterbacks, letting a 16.2 fantasy average fantasy points to quarterbacks. I could deal with that though with Sauce Gardner being out. They don't have him right now, still dealing with calf issues. And if quite honestly, if you're asking me, I still feel like there's a level of 49 the 49ers are a gear that they can still keep hitting, if you ask me. Now, that being said, and I'm at the moment looking at what the Colts did this previous week with the Seahawks, because it's not like the Seahawks absolutely blew them out the water, and it's not like Sam Darnold had an absolutely amazing game. He threw no touchdowns, but Jackson Smith Njigba still went for 7 catches, 113 yards. Rashid Shaheed still had 5 catches, 74 yards. Cooper Cup, 5 catches, 46 yards. You see what I'm saying? I think with I think with Kittle, I think with Juwan Jennings, I think with Pearsall now back, and then hopefully I'm going against Christian McCaffrey in one of my leagues. I don't need him to turn me up. Too bad. Hopefully they don't go too crazy. But I like me some Brock Purdy going forward. And then with the Chicago Bears, they are ranked 24th against quarterbacks, letting 19.4 fantasy points against quarterbacks. I mean, if you can get through that first game, once again, I don't think Indianapolis is the same team that we saw earlier in the year. I definitely think they are beatable, especially when you got old man Rivers out there leading your offense. They're not going to have those great offensive stretches, if you will. So Brock Purdy for me is somebody who is very interesting going forward. He has the Colts. He has Chicago. I believe he has the team around him to be successful. He just has to stay healthy, stay in, not don't get knocked out of the game, and I think Purdy could lead you to a championship. Now, let's move over to the wonderful position that we like, tight ends, if you will. And I will say, Rocco, I feel like I've gotten a more of appreciation for the tight end position this year because, and some of my, I see a trend where the the teams that are so far are doing well that I have a at least adequate tight end to give me points. Not somebody below average, not somebody who is just a guy, a jag, if you will, but a guy that is a difference maker. And what I'm seeing when this is particularly what I'm speaking of for like guys like McBride, he's a damn near league winner by himself. You got
He ain't
Bauer.
no damn near league winner. He is a league winner.
Thank you. He is a
They know
league winner.
damn near.
Uh,
Harold Fan is damn near a league winner. He is the league
he is the league
the
winner.
league winner at tight end.
So when in terms of that, of tight ends just being a league winner, being that dominant that they can be by themselves, give you type of value of a said wide receiver, how does it, or how more of importance does that for 2026 does that put for you in the terms of the position of looking at those top level guys compared to those, middle average to lower end tight ends?
I mean, I'm not overspending for
Of course,
to
yeah.
get any of them. I'm more intrigued with like the rookie class. Like Harold Fannin Jr. I got on like every league. I love that guy. And I mean, he's on half of my team, so he's a guy. Colston Loveland's been breaking out all over the place in the last few weeks.
Yep.
Even guys like Terrence Ferguson, who I have stashed in places. If he can get that Kobe Parkinson role, that's lights out. That's another guy that could be a league winner.
Hmm.
Right now, Kobe Parkinson's holding down that role, but I mean, they drafted Terrence Ferguson to be that guy. And tight end, it takes a little bit longer for guys to kind of break out. Even Tyler Warren, who broke out early, who's kind of fallen back now that the quarterback situation is gotten to be atrocious. So
Unfortunately.
yeah, I mean, but he broke out early, so that's what I like to see from guys. And there's later breakouts, especially at tight end. It's a longer uh, breakout. It takes longer to break out at tight end, um, but guys that break out generally I keep my eye on, and those are the guys I usually try to go after. Because if you show something early, I feel like you're just like a little bit of cut above, a lot of the other guys, at your position. So Tyler Warren, there's just a great Rondé Gadsden.
Hmm.
He broke out early. He got banged up, and he hasn't been the same. But at one point, he was the number one passing game weapon for the Chargers. So, um, just investing in those young tight ends, is where it's at for me. You want to find the next Trey McBride. You know what I'm saying? You want to find the next guy like that, and that's where you can really, make money. Tucker Kraft was slowly becoming that guy, and he unfortunately blew his knee out, so um, that sucked. But those are the guys I'm kind of targeting, not like the older guys, but those younger year two, year three breakouts. I think that's where you can really profit at.
Okay, I like it, man. So, in that regards, who is your favorite tight end matchup for the fantasy playoffs?
Well, this is a guy that I was in on as a rookie, 1,000 yards. It looked like he was ready to ascend and be that next top guy. But things didn't kind of work out that way, and he fell off big time. I mean, he had injuries, he had league worst quarterback play, and he had more injuries, and it took him a while to kind of take that next step. But last Thursday, he had one of the best tight end performances we ever seen, anybody's ever seen.
Yeah,
Um, and I'm just
speak on it.
looking for,
Speak
I'm
on
just
it.
looking for my thing.
It's I
I
already know where you're
had,
going with it too.
yeah, yeah. Hold up. Oh, here it goes. I had to pull up my trusty stats. I'm talking about Kyle Pitts, who single handedly crushed a playoff favorite on Thursday, and I had no fucking shot of coming back because I got Kyle Pitts. I also left Kyle Pitts on the bench in another league, and I felt kind of dumb, but luckily I was able to pull that matchup out. But just in the last 3 weeks, and mind you, I know London was out, but you still need to perform because guess what? Kirk Cousins will throw it to David Sills, Darnell Mooney, whoever, if you're not getting open and you're not out there making plays. So he's become that number one target in the passing attack in the last 3 weeks. And what has that led to? That has led to the most yards in the last 3 weeks out of any tight end. And that includes my good friend Trey McBride. And he's gotten about 60 more yards than him. I know 166 yards goes a long way towards that, but still, 338 yards in 3 games. He has the sixth most yards per reception, 14.1. So he's getting yards. He's getting yards downfield. Tied for the most TDs with his three on Thursday. But not only that, he's also looking good to some of the film guys. PFF has him as the number one ranked receiving grade at his position for the last 3 weeks. And another stat that we like to look at: yards per route run, also number one at the tight end position in the last 3 weeks. So he's really breaking out all over the place at the right time. I mean, he is going to win leagues as as the favorite weapon for Kirk Cousins, who's kind of revitalized that Atlanta Falcons team. It was kind of janky with Michael Penix in there. We never really felt that was a real good offense. They would have a good performance, and then they would get shut out by like the Pandas. So we haven't seen good offense consistently out of that team, but I think they found something with Kyle Pitts, and hopefully they get Drake London back because they can make a nice 1-2 punch, no matter which way you want to look at it. Those two, if you got a consolidated target tree with those two, it's going to be beautiful. And who do they play? You ask. I don't know because I'm looking at this chart, but I looked at it a little I looked at it a little while ago. And ATL. Okay, here we go. So they played the aforementioned Arizona Cardinals this week,
Hmm.
which if we've been paying attention, all of the Cardinal games are shooting out because you have Jacoby Brissett with a league lead in attempts. So no matter what happens, whether they're up or down, where they're mostly going to be down, the Cardinals will be throwing. So they kind of suck people into that kind of game flow. So they have them in week 16, and in week 17 they have the Rams, which everybody says, "Oh no, the Rams are great defense," but they're not that great against tight ends. So if he's going to help you get to the championship round, and I think in week 17 he's going to help you win some money.
Hey man, listen. When looking at Kyle Pitts, one looking just for some stats for y'all, he has 22.3% target share. He currently, like Rocco suggested, Trey McBride has a 1.82 yards per route run this year. Kyle Pitts is at
Not
1.13. That's literally like not too far off right there. Where Travis Kelsey 1.61, Tyler Warren has a 1.69, Harold Fannin 1.67. So that tells you Kyle Pitts is back. He's having a very rookie esque Kyle Pitts type year. And honestly, if things, I mean, he's only what two? About to, he has 797 receiving yards. He could, if everything goes well, end up touching 1,000 yards or getting very close to 1,000 yards again. So off of 73 catches currently right now. And just for a fun fact, Kyle Pitts has ran 462 routes for 73 catches. Jake Ferguson has run 447 routes for 77 catches. You want to know the difference? Kyle Pitts has 797 yards, and Jake Ferguson has a whopping 570. Yeah, I'll let you if that doesn't sound very sexy to you.
Jake Ferguson's a jag, but he plays for the Dallas Cowboys, and Dak Prescott likes to throw to the tight end. So if he was on another team, he'd be like a 400, 500 yard tight end.
I will say he is second in touchdowns for tight ends, so that keeps him in there. And I mean, he has more yak yards than Aronde Gatson. Oh, I can't even say that because he's ran almost 100 and some more routes than goddamn Gatson.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
just I'm just looking at the last 3 weeks. Since he's been playing with Kirk Cousins, he's been like the number one. That's what I've kind of been looking at because I mean that offense has been just like kind of atrocious for most of the season.
But I'm riding with that target share, brother. Like we always talk about, follow the targets. 22.3 for Kyle Pitts. That is very much for me something I am looking for. Uh, and actually, something that I like. And just to point back to his yards per route run, give you back to his efficiency. So I like Kyle Pitts. And once again, if y'all don't know, yes, I'm a very much a Dallas Cowboys fan, but I root for my Atlanta Falcons just because I'm from Georgia. Go Dogs, you know how we coming. But I'm happy to see Kyle Pitts back into the good graces of where he was. Kind of actually makes me a little upset where I should have maybe taken more advantage of when he was a little bit down or where people were down on him and you could have gotten him for a late or mid to late second. The price of the brick done went up. After you after you have a performance like he did,
You ain't getting no.
yeah, the price of the
Good
brick
luck.
went up, man. So I like it. Kyle Pitts is definitely somebody that I would be good or very. happy that I have on my team for the playoffs just because of his matchups. So shout out to you right there, Rocco. And we're gonna keep this one in the NFC South with the Saints' very own Juwan Johnson, and they will cut over to our good friends at Lead Champ, where you can win a free NFL jersey that our boy, good friend Chef, just got another on his belt from this past week. He beat me actually, came in second. I was damn near thinking I was gonna come back. Well, not come back, but I was like, maybe I can have some type of shift. So shout out to you, Chef, for getting yourself another chip. I thought
Chef's on a
I was
fucking
going
heater right now.
I'm telling you, I thought I was going to bring that one right back. I thought I was going to bring that one back and forth. But shout
Nah,
out
we never had a chance. He was like 2 points up on us like after the early games.
yeah,
You were in second, but I think it was one of those seconds where it was like, everybody was close and Chef's like way out there. I was like, man,
yeah,
Chef got this. There is nothing we can do, nothing that can happen because I know because that used to be me. I used to be like 2 points ahead and I asked Daddy about that. He's like, yeah. You're not coming back from 2 points after the early games.
mm,
It's just it's it's done. I mean, like you got to realize, like hundreds and hundreds of players have played by 3 o'clock, and then like the late game, you might have like 4 games, and you have one game Sunday night, one game Monday. It's just the math don't math for you unless like somebody just like gets like hit after hit after hit after hit. It's real hard,
mm.
unfortunately.
But yeah, I'm gonna keep it in the South. I'm gonna go with Juwan Johnson. Am I going Juwan Johnson? Because he has, and me and Rocco were just talking about this. He has one of the sexiest. We say the Saints in general, Saints players in general, have the one of the sexiest playoff schedules for all players across the positions. Why I say that? Juwan Johnson, the last two games that they have, the New York Jets. You know what the New York Jets rank? Excuse me. You know what the New York Jets rank against tight ends? Well, they're not too bad, not too shabby. They're 13th. They're letting 12.5 to the tight end when the average is 13.4. Okay, I can get jiggy with that. But what do we always preach, y'all? What do we preach? You always play a player against the Tennessee Titties. That's always what it is. But I will also say they're not the worst team against tight ends, but they are 20th. 13.9 fantasy points allowed to the tight end. So, like I said, they're not the worst, but they're not the best either. I do like Juwan
Mhm.
Johnson just because of one, he has 62 catches, 644 receiving yards, three tutties. But what also ties that all together, he has 18.38% target share. Absolutely love that for that in the New Orleans Saints offense, especially with Kamara, one of the bigger dogs, being out. Devin Neal, we have to see how he is for this week. Looking like that
Now he's
running.
out.
Oh, he's out. So the
Out.
running game is going to be looking very, very scarce, very bleak.
Mm. No,
It's
it's not. It's good. It's a good thing.
maybe
I'll
for
get to that. I'll get that to that in my running back. But yeah. I'm happy as a pig in shit right now.
I think honestly, they're probably going more. I want to see them pass a little bit more, just because of where I have Juwan Johnson. That I need him to actually to go a little bit more on the way. But and if I'm looking at Juwan Johnson in general, I would theoretically give him the eighth best schedule for tight ends for rest of the year. Guys around there would be like Tyler Warren, where he has the 49ers and Jacksonville. I think Harold Fannin Jr. is a little bit ahead of him. Guys like Trey McBride has a killer one, obviously with the Falcons and the Cincinnati Bengals. Shoot, Theo Johnson has the Raiders for if you have him for a championship game. So honestly, I like me some Juwan Johnson. I'm in a league where somebody has been trying to ship that boy all year, all season. He has reminded us that Juwan Johnson is on the trade block for a second. Come get
Good
him.
luck. Good fucking
Come
luck.
Yeah, but it's you're not gonna get no second from me right now. And one trading is over for most leagues. Traded deadlines are passed. In mine, there have not. So I don't have trade deadlines in my leagues. I want to be able to. I want people, even if it championship or playoff teams or non-playoff teams, I want them to be able to trade. Because what if a championship or playoff contender is looking to acquire a player or help their chances? And what if a non-playoff team is looking to offload their players for picks and get ahead of the game? You're basically pigeonholing the rest of the league back from making moves when you have a trade deadline. So I said, fuck it. Let's not have a trade deadline. So I like me some Juwan Johnson. I think for the playoffs wise, he can. And honestly, I think we're seeing each week Tyler should stack the weeks. I think we've seen each week Tyler should get better. I think each week we've seen the Saints get more confidence in Tyler Should. Would you agree with that, Rocco?
Tyler Shuck is fucking awesome. Like he's like really fucking good. I didn't realize he was this good, but I mean, he's really fucking good. Like even with all we know about Jackson Dart, he might be better than Jackson Dart. Yeah, I said it. He's I mean, like we could see 4 wins to end the season in a row from Tyler Shuck with one of the least talented rosters across the whole NFL. Like, don't even get me started on Tyler Shuck, man. Like, I can get like irresponsible with the things I
Because
might
I can
say.
get irresponsible. No, listen,
Yeah,
I have him in a. I'm still in one quarterback. I like one quarterback leagues, and I have him with Baker Mayfield. I have him with Shador Sanders, and honestly, Tyler Shook is a guy that I'm pretty much keeping him wherever I can because I like him, and I don't think, or I think he's done enough for the Saints. Don't go at quarterback next year or look
I,
that way. I think you have
I
other holes to look for.
I'd
Go ahead.
send out a first. I'd send a first for him at this point.
This boy Rocco said, "I am sipping that juice. I am sipping that juice. I am
Gosh,
on the Tyler Shook."
watch him play. Like he's really good at football. Like he can scoot. Like he can make all the throws. He's got a big arm. He's tall, so he's not a short king. You can see over the line of scrimmage, and his movement in the pocket is basically what like got me at first because like he just kind of like has a pocket presence about him, which you really don't see from like young quarterbacks. So he's taking sacks because they're very leaky up the middle. So he's taking sacks, but if people are coming around the edge, and he'll just kind of like move up in the pocket. He knows where that line of scrimmage is, and he'll fucking drop a dime.
Yep.
So and he's got a couple last 2 weeks. He has two come from behind victories, which is very impressive in the division against two teams that are vying for the playoffs, the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Carolina Pandas. So that's he's got a lot of accolades already, and he's just started 6 games. So I mean, sky's the limit for this guy. I think the team needs to start building around him right now. Um, he needs another receiver. They obviously need more help on the line. They need a legit running back. If the guy I'm about to mention doesn't become that guy, but yeah, I like everything about him. I have not much negative to say about the guy at this point.
And those are our two selections at the tight end spot, with Juwan Johnson being my pick and Kyle Pitts being Rocco's. And we're going to cut to a quick break from League Champ, where you can win yourself a free NFL jersey every week by being the number one ranker. As both of me and Rocco before, and our good friend Chev this past week, and all of some of our other close friends. But here's Lead Champ. Ooh, do. We like that trap music every time, baby. Every time, baby. Every time, baby.
And before people start saying I'm just being a homer on some of these takes, I will say I don't think Juwan Johnson's good at football, but he's gonna get a fuckload of targets. So yeah, that makes him a league winner. But man, I can't wait till he gets off of my team.
He can't wait to get. He said, "I don't have him on," and I like when he does good things for my fantasy. When I like when he does good things for my fantasy teams and my actual team. But
Don't
when he
actually
doesn't,
watch him.
fuck him.
Don't actually watch him play because you'll be infuriated.
I can't get. Hey, listen, man.
He'll fumble away games. He'll fucking don't know where the sidelines at. Just he's just I don't know. I mean, maybe it clicks for him, but like he just does the most boneheaded shit that will just infuriate you.
Listen, you've been hitting. Let's do running backs next, and you've been hinting at this guy for a couple turns now. Let's reveal him. Let's bring him right down. Who are you going with? Who is your favorite running back matchup for the
All right,
playoffs?
all right. So look, I'm not gonna have a whole bunch of stats lined up like I did for the other two guys. This is just basically an opportunity and a need type of thing. Like you mentioned, Devin Neal, he's out. He's probably out for the regular season. He has a hamstring injury. He came right out of the game. Like there was no, let's look at it. He was just immediately ruled out. So that usually tells me that it's a multi-week hamstring injuries. And as we've seen, hamstring injuries could be up to a month, and we don't have a month left in the season. So, the last two guys, one guy is named Evan Hall, and he actually pisses me off when I see him play because he's big, he's slow, he's unexciting. He's an unexciting white, and hopefully he doesn't get too many snaps because the guy that I want to see get snaps was doing exciting things on the field, was catching passes, was looking explosive. Talking about Audric Estimé. And
But
I've been
you know,
talking about him for a few weeks.
I was gonna say you're gonna
I've
keep
been
tooting
talking.
that horn.
Yeah. I told y'all to pick him up before he was trending, and now he's trending, and everybody's going to see if he's on waivers. But if you listen to me, you'd have him rostered already. But he's not the fastest guy. Only ran a 4.7 at the combine. But what he does have is 86 percentile burst score, and you can see it when he plays. He kind of just bursts through the line. He's going to get caught from behind eventually. He's not going to, break off a 50-yard run, but he'll get you those 10, 8-yard runs, on a regular basis. And what I did not know, what I did not expect, I thought he was, simply a two-down back. I didn't think he had any pass catching chops, but he caught a few passes in crunch time when they were sorely needed, and looked explosive doing it. So this guy should be looking at like a 65% workload because I think they'll know that Evan Hall, he's boring. Maybe he pass blocks a little bit better. He's just very unexciting, and I don't think they can win games. Audric Estimé is the guy that's going to help win these next two games. You're down Vele, so all you got is Olave left. So you're going to have to run the ball a little bit to stay in these games. And they play the Jets and the Titties
And that's
to
it.
end the season. So, if he's not getting close to 80 yards and a touchdown, I'll be very disappointed. Um, he's the type of guy that the Saints have lacked all season. They have more of these finesse guys with Devin Neal and Alvin Kamara. They haven't been able to. They've been league worst in the green zone. They can get down there, but they haven't been able to punch it in. He is the hammer back that can punch it in when they get close to the end zone. So he'll be the guy that's finishing off these drives because the Saints have been pretty good in between the 20s most of the season. They just haven't been able to score touchdowns. And then when they kick a field goal, Blake Groupie was missing field goals left and right. That's why he got kicked off my team. Audric Estimé can be a real weapon in the green zone. I hope you picked him up already, like I've been telling you guys for weeks, because these last 2 weeks are going to be fucking fireworks.
Hey, I love it. I love the enthusiasm on that, Rocco. And with Audric Estime, for somebody, he's honestly, he might be one of the, or is the biggest back for you guys. Where Kamara, he's not
220.
tall. He's 215 pounds, I think. And then with Devin Neal, he was still around that 215, that 210 round two range. But Estimate is a good, he pushes 230. So and damn near 6 foot. So I think he brings that mode. He brings that, power running that, you know, honestly, what I feel like y'all been missing a bit. It kind of brings me back to those days with Mark Ingram and how he used to run for you guys.
Mm,
And I love me some Mark Ingram back when he was with the Saints and doing, ripping and running for you guys. He a good blend of power and elusiveness. So I think where y'all need to, and honestly, when Saints ball was at its very highest, it was when y'all had both a finesse runner and a power runner. Y'all always did well with mixing those up. It was never just a finesse guy or just a power guy. It was always when you had Reggie, you had Deuce McAllister. Where you had Mark Ingram, you had Alvin Kamara. You know what I'm saying? So
hmm
I feel like y'all need to be able to get back to that. Now Kamara's in his later days, in his later years, and he's having trouble staying healthy. And also the supporting cast around him isn't the greatest, so it doesn't really help him just at this point or stage in his career. So, and then with the other guys, with Devin Neal, honestly, he had the perfect opportunity, just got hurt. So, and I'm like, he could going forward since we've seen him actually look productive. When he comes back healthy, he can have a role. But let it be Devin Neal. If he theoretically can be Devin Neal, I'm not saying Kamara's out of there going forward, or I'm not going to see what the situation is. Honestly, I think he retires the Saint at this point. But with Audric Estime, Rocco's been telling it. Most of us, some of us didn't listen, but now the time is here where Estime is here. Or he's about to get his shine. He's about to get some the shares that honestly, for all the truth is out there for Estime, you've been wanting him to get. So let's see what type of fantasy production or fantasy goodness Audrey Estime can provide for us. And I like the selection there, Rocco. Not a high prolific guy, but a guy that is who could end up having more of a role going into these last two games.
and he's still available on some waivers. And the Saints tried to make Taysom Hill that guy to score touchdowns. They tried to score touchdown with Kamara. Neil, I give Neil credit. He's punched a couple in. But yeah, the hammerback is what the team's sorely been needing for this whole season, honestly.
I will give my choice at running back, and I'm going to have to go with a guy who literally had burst out of the holes last week against I believe it was the Buffalo Bills, where TreVeyon Henderson, come on down, good sir. And the reason why I'm taking TreVeyon Henderson is he has the Baltimore Ravens, who are 22nd against running backs, letting them average 23.5 fantasy points. And then he also has the New York Jets, who happen to be 30th ranked against running backs, letting them get 27 fantasy points or average 27 fantasy points. NFL average 21.9. Man, I don't know about y'all, but I absolutely feel wonderful about TreVeyon Henderson, especially after this last previous week, where and let me tell you these totals, if I will. He went for 14 carries, 148 yards. That is 10.6 yards per carry to go along with two touchdowns. Damn near almost had the same type of production a few weeks back against the Tampa Bay Bucks. 14 carries, 147 yards, 10.5 yards per carry, and two touchdowns again. Are we starting to see the Patriots use or get or let TreVeyon Henderson be the home run threat that we all knew he was coming out of Ohio State? Hell yeah. Absolutely love it. And I know there was a lot of people who had Judkins ranked ahead of TreVeyon Henderson going in just after, and this was after we was like, oh, Judkins is 220 plus, just ran a fourth. His athleticism scores were all over the place. That's what all was talked about was how big he was and how his testing was. But I was always on the hill of TreVeyon Henderson is the most talented back of the tandem because he gives you he well I will say Judkins hasn't shown the ability to break off longer runs of the sorts. But TreVeyon Henderson, boy, when you're averaging 10 yards per carry, over 10 yards per carry, you're doing something right. Especially when you're getting over 10 carries and then you're going over 100 yards with those, you're doing something right. So I like me some TreVeyon Henderson. Since week 9, he's had three top five running back finishes. And those three top five running back finishes, he's gone over 30 points three of those times. They Patriots are very much are hitting their stride, and I absolutely love their schedule going forward. Now, Ramondre Stevenson is back, and it looks like he is back to getting some type of role in there when it comes to the early down touches. But man, are they still giving uh, TreVeyon Henderson his due or still his needed to be able to produce? And let me go to the running backs real quick and talk a little bit more about TreVeyon Henderson because what I do really much appreciate about him in general for a guy who hasn't one wasn't the starting running back. He wasn't the one getting majority of the touches. He is 20th in the NFL with 773 rushing yards. Love that. And then averaging 5.41 yards per carry for the everyone to get a good reference here. Jonathan Taylor 5.31, James Cook 5.22, A Chain 5.79, Bijan Robinson 5.02, Jamar Gibbs 5.50. When you are a running back, one averaging 5 yards per carry in college is good. Doing that shit in the NFL is elite. That lets you. Those are your efficient guys. That tells you elite guys. All right. I absolutely like me some TreVeyon Henderson because he can hit in the running game with his elusiveness and he can hit in the passing game. and with Drake May and with just a young cast in general, I could see the Patriots. We could see the start of this. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because I don't want to toot Max horn. I don't want him to get too big headed over here. But we could be seeing the start of a new dynasty. One, we gotta see how that defense goes and whatnot. But they got the quarterback to do it. They got the running back to do it. I think there may be maybe one wide receiver away from having an elite group. They have a very decent group. They have a above average wide receiver core. I think they're one elite guy away from really taking over the league. But man, I like TreVeyon Henderson, the rookie one where you know a lot of he's finally getting the usage that we wanted for him in fantasy. Like TreVeyon Henderson, I like the matchups going forward for him, and I think he's an underrated league winner if everything hits right.
Yeah, I mean, they just need to keep fucking Ramondre Stevenson off the field. The thing I love about him, and there's not a whole bunch of these guys, but he's just one of those guys like Derrick Henry used to be, how Jonathan Taylor is, how Jameer Gibbs is. That once they get a crease and they get in the open field, nobody's catching them. They just move differently in the open field. You basically never see anybody catch those guys from behind. Once they get ahead of the defense, there's no cornerback that's gonna chase them down, and it just ain't happening. And those are the real difference making plays in fantasy. As much as I love guys that can, move the chains and get that workhorse um, usage. Guys like one of my favorites, Cam Scatterboo, that's hurt right now. He'll get you 20 plus carries. He might get you a touchdown. But the thing about Jameer Gibbs and and like the guy you just talked about, TreVeyon Henderson, they can get all those points in one fucking play. Just fucking nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, he just moves different. His speed's different. And if he gets a couple creases in the playoffs like he did, just this past week, he's gonna win people a lot of money.
And I will say, I'm I'm looking right now in terms of average box defenders. TreVeyon Henderson is towards, if I'm looking correctly, he's towards the lower end of running backs. They're not very much seeing a stat box. Even Ramondre Stevenson happens to be like the 24th ranked running back when it comes to seeing average defenders in the box. So that leads to more lanes for TreVeyon Henderson to take advantage of. Like, all he needs is a seam. All we saw with him with cutting back and taking it across the field, he has the speed to be that type of difference maker. They just need to let him be that difference maker. And then when when it comes to expected points per rush, right now, which determines, I look at that one where it kind of gives you, an added wrinkle, kind of where guys are they actually doing what they need to do on the field, or are they actually when before EPA are they doing for this expected play? Did they get the success that we would have thought they would? Right now, TreVeyon Henderson is ranked third in EPA per rush. Yeah, which is kind of crazy. Blake Corum is number one. Added wrinkle. So for all the Kyron Williams truthers out there, count your fucking days, buddy. Blake Corum has very much, and we've seen it for the last couple of weeks. Blake Corum is taking over
I
that back.
tried to tell motherfuckers about Clay Corum. I've been stashing him, and it's finally paying off.
Blake Corum is, and I don't want to get too far on it, but Blake Corum is going to be one of them fellas.
It's
But
fucking
I,
better than Kyron Williams. I said it.
I'm right
It's
there with you.
better at fucking running the football.
I'm right there with you, man. So I like some TreVeyon Henderson, and where you can, you know, and honestly, we're looking at total EPA. He's ranked fourth. Jonathan Taylor is number one. Devon A. Chain's number three. TreVeyon Henderson is number four. Kyron Williams number five. Blake Corum is number two, though. That's another wrinkle. I'm just saying, but nevertheless, TreVeyon Henderson. I like his schedule going forward, and I believe he's an underrated league winner if everything hits. And should we end this thing off with the beautiful receivers, the wonderful wide receivers, the things, the
Oh
divas,
yeah,
the showstoppers?
man. Yeah, I was gonna go. I was gonna go with another Juwan Jennings, but then I realized he only has like 60 yards in the last 3 weeks. So yeah, sorry, Juwan Jennings, you are officially off the list. But who I'm gonna put on the list? Some people might be scared with the matchup this week because Philadelphia has one of the best defenses in the league. But if you look historically at what Terry McLaurin has done against the Eagles in just 12 games, he has 917 yards and 5 touchdowns on a 14.3 yard per reception clip. So he's been a bit of an eagle killer in his career, and it's a divisional game, so he kind of knows these guys. He knows where he can succeed against these guys, and him and Debo are basically the only receivers worth anything on the Commandos right now, and Marcus Mariota, he's just another guy, another veteran guy that's come off the bench and has performed quite admirably. He's kept them in a lot of games. He's been a fantasy football cheat code for anybody that absolutely needed a quarterback that had nobody. He's been a every week starter. Marcus Mariota has. If we buy into the fact that he's done well against Philadelphia in the past. He's kind of had their number in the past, and that the offense is functionable. The real prize is championship week, where he gets your Dallas Cowboys, who are hemorrhaging points to every position, even making my favorite guy, my favorite quarterback coming in the season, number 9 himself, J.J. McCarthy,
Listen,
look like
man,
an absolute stud.
you're not
You
wrong.
know,
You're
J.J.
not wrong,
McCarthy
man.
coming into the what you call it, the AT&T Dome, scoring 3 touchdowns. That wasn't Dallas, right?
That was
That was in Dallas, yeah. Because I remember they kept playing kept playing your boy. Oh fuck, what's his name? Postpone my student loan.
Post Malone.
Kept playing, yeah. Postpone is short for postpone my student loan.
Yeah, man, you're
Uh,
not wrong. You're not
so yeah,
wrong, bro.
yeah. Not to get off a tangent, but if he can survive the Philadelphia matchup, which I've gave you a lot of evidence that he should be just fine against them, he plays the Dallas Cowboys in week 17, which should be fireworks for everybody involved. I hope, because I'll need those points to win championships. So, Terry McLaurin, he's finally healthy. He's been hurt all season with the hip, but he's had some great games in the last few weeks. So I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin.
Scary Terry. Scary Terry. And when it comes to a player or a prospect, I've always been a fan of Scary Terry, Terry McLaurin. I like majority of Ohio State receivers. I like just because of typically they're technicians. They're typically going to be route runners. They're going to be receivers that have a wide range of a route tree, right? And with Scary Terry. It just so happens he's with the Commanders. Makes you throw up, right? But but that doesn't take away from the player that I think he is, or injuries wise in 2025, it hasn't gone his way, especially after signing the contract. He was holding out, trying to get his due. I'm always with players trying to get what they believe they're owed. So, but I do believe we got to see it. And now, this previous week, we saw him get his touchdown. He didn't really kill it through the yards perspective, but for a playoff performance and what you needed from him, he gave you your due. He gave you what you needed. He wasn't the reason why your team lost. And I feel like for any player, you can live with the outcome of you can live with the outcome of their game if they're not the reason why you lost, right? If McLaurin gave you 8 points, 9 points, then I'd be right there with you, like, man, maybe they need to shut that shit down. Just how they're shutting Jaden Daniels down, maybe they need to go ahead and shut down him as
Mm-mm.
well. But
Don't do it. Nope, nope.
don't do
Mm-mm.
that. Right, don't. So I feel like
I
with
need McLaurin in a couple spots.
so I like Terry McLaurin. I honestly feel like and he still has a lot left in the tank. Now, do they get that boy some help? Maybe.
They
Next
need to
year.
get JD some help.
As I hear, the Commanders is a prime spot for Brandon Ayuk still to be traded that way. So you could never know. You could see something along those lines, and that
They
would
need
throw
it.
Debo back into the slide. And Ayuk, you know, actually, I think Debo's played a lot in the slot this year anyway.
He needs
But
to. That's his natural position.
so I like me.
And just to speak on it before we move on to your guy,
Yeah, yeah.
Terry McLaurin is top 12 in basically every wide receiver stats: targets, yards, TDs, PFF grade, and my personal favorite, yards per route run in the last 3 games at 2.64. So he's out there, he's making things happen, and he can help you win fantasy football championship. He doesn't have to be your one, but you can put him at your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 flex, and he can win you some money.
Samanya. And I'll do my pick. And I'm going to roll with a guy that has stepped up. I always take more notice to players who, when their role increase, when their snaps increase, when they're needed more, when no matter whether it's because of a player getting hurt, whether it's schematic things. I love when a player is able to step up. I love when a player is able to come alive when the opportunity presents itself. Michael Wilson, Arizona Cardinals wide receiver, did exactly that in the moment where Marvin Harrison Jr. the first went down and went out for an extended period of time. We could get him back this week, but he's been out. And Michael Wilson has just been on a tear. Yes, have they as the Cardinals won games? Has it translated to games? No. That very much is that can be very much pointed to as they have only won 3 games and they haven't won one in quite some time. Since actually on November 3rd, unfortunately, against my Dallas Cowboys was their last win of the season. We're just gonna leave that piece there. But nevertheless, since then, since the I'll say, let's see, November 16th against the 49ers, and since then, he's had 3 games where he's had double digit targets. In those 3 games, he's had double digit catches, 185 yards, 118 yards, 142 yards. Now, Only in one of those games did he come away with tutties. But previous game, he gave you 11 targets to go with 5 catches against a tough Houston Texans defense. We're looking at Michael Wilson, who's going to be going against one, the Atlanta Falcons, who are currently 22nd in the NFL against wide receivers, and then he goes against the Cincinnati Bengals, who I will say there are one of the tougher matchups against wide receivers at number 5 when uh, with wide receivers who typically average around uh, you know a good little decent amount on other teams. Not on the Cincinnati Bengals though. They suck everywhere else though, which is kind of crazy. Against quarterbacks, Cincinnati is 30th. Against running backs, Cincinnati is 32. Against tight ends, Cincinnati is 32. But against the receivers though,
All receivers is just the X.
it doesn't say actually. I would have to find that one.
Because hopefully Marvin Harrison's back and he can absorb that CB1 uh, coverage, and he could just work his magic over there at the Z.
I'm telling you, it's we got to see on that one. And hey, I believe with Marvin Harrison Jr. being out for as long as he has, he's going to be on a pitch count, or he's going to be on some type of. They're going to ramp him up, and also they're not playing for shit. So why throw a player out there just to hurt himself? So I like me some Michael Wilson for a player who hasn't been the guy all season. Hell, before the 49ers game, he literally was damn near only averaging the highest targets he saw in the game was 7. And then something I don't know, just game script was like, let's give this boy 18 targets and win game. And then the next game was giving 15 targets and damn near.
Jacoby Brissett happened.
But literally
Jacoby
Jacoby.
Brissett happened, and he can see over the line, and the defense collapsed, and the running game collapsed.
I'm telling you,
That that
literally
that team is a fucking pass funnel.
the last 5 weeks, Michael Wilson has double digit targets. Follow the targets. I don't care if Marvin Harrison Jr. is back. Hell, Jesus himself could have risen and come back on that field and put cleats on. I'm taking Michael Wilson against the Atlanta.
you take you take you taking Michael Wilson over JC?
I'm taking. Say it again.
Not Jamar Chase, Jesus Christ.
No. Over the Atlanta Falcons and over the Cincinnati Bengals. Honestly, I could see that. I could see that Cincinnati Bengals game if the Bengals have any type of pride left, trying to show a little something, try to show like some type of production. Jamar Chase is trying to keep Joe Burrow up. Joe Burrow's been sending out cryptic messages saying it doesn't sound like he wants to be a Cincinnati Bengal for much longer. Or we could see him Andrew Luck this shit out. Hopefully not. I don't want to see that for
That'd be
the
some. That would be fucking terrible. Imagine
NFL.
all your Joe Burrow shares just become worthless
Or,
overnight.
Don does. I wasn't playing fantasy yet when Andrew Luck retired,
I think I
but
had like two dynasty leagues at that point. So luckily he wasn't on either of those teams. But I've had him. I've had him in the past. I just happened to trade him at some point, so I wasn't still on him. But yeah, that's kicking the nuts, huh?
I'm telling you, so don't random retires will
That's
do.
like if one of your players died. Like
I'm telling you. So it's like, but and once again, life life. There's more to life than fantasy football. There's more to life than NFL. There's more. These guys are real humans, real men. You know, they have real feelings, real emotions, real mental, real mental health, and always advocating for that part. But holy fuck, yes, I can only imagine as a fantasy owner You should like real story. The guy that in one of my leagues that I was potentially supposed to be going against, he got first round bye. So he was just cruising. He didn't have to do nothing the first week. Who's his quarterback? Patrick Mahomes.
Trade deadline over.
Tread that line over.
You gotta fucking spend all your money on fucking Minshew Mania.
Tread that line over. So, hey
Superflex?
man, it's for when you go with those type of situations. Yeah, it's heart wrenching for sure.
Superflex?
No, one quarterback. So
Oh
he's,
man, he can make that.
but he literally only has Tyrod Taylor, who was ruled out, and then he had to pick up Phillip Rivers off the waivers.
Better go pick up Minshew.
I actually think Minshew's on. I think Minshew's on there. Actually,
Philip Rivers ain't getting you no points. I seen what I needed to see last week.
he said I seen it. He ain't
I
gonna. He
seen
ain't.
what I needed to see.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I like Mike. I like Michael Wilson going forward. Marvin Harrison Jr. I think this year you might as well just kind of he'll be out there just so he can have some
Wins.
some
Be running
snap.
those win sprints.
Yeah. But yeah, you kind of just want him to get back right, and then just chalk up this year as a learning experience, just to see what he can do into his third year. Hopefully, Marvin Harrison Jr. his third year he can take off. But this year, Michael Wilson, I believe for the playoffs, is a very very good asset to have. So for the receivers, I took Michael Wilson, and Rocco, you took
Terry McLaurin.
Scary Terry, and Scary Terry. And that is our 8 players that we are, or our 8 favorite players for rest of schedule for the 2025 fantasy playoffs. And hope everyone for that second round, unless I go against you, then I hope I whoop your ass. Hope everyone gets those dubs. We're one more week closer to those championships. One more week to add into the showcases and talking shit for one more year against your league mates. But that is our episode. I'm Huncho, and this is my guy.
Siriaco, call me Rocco.
And remember, jump in the Discord. You can find that in the YouTube description. It's free. This is the most pivotal time to be getting those asking about fantasy advice. And we have such a great community. And I will say one more time, it is free, which you can find in the YouTube description. Like I said, we have a great community. And honestly, it's been jumping in there since the playoffs have started. Shout out to everyone, whether it's trades, whether it's starting sit questions, or whether it's just random football talk with injuries being out there. We're in there talking and we're there to help you out. And you can find us on TikTok, you can find us on Twitter, hell, you can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Blue Sky. Tap in with us wherever you can find us. We're here to help wherever, however. Let's get those wins, y'all. And Rocco, where and what are we the land of?
We're a fantasy football podcast for Dynasty Sickos. Bye, Dynasty Sickos. Everybody's welcome.
Everybody is welcome. And as we go out, here's our friends from League Champ. Once again, where you could win a free NFL jersey by being the number one ranker for the week. And as Addy and Shad pointed out in our previous episode from this past weekend, it's going to be running through the playoffs, baby. So come on in. The time is not ending just in the regular season. We're rolling to the NFL season. Bring your ass on and try to get yourself some doves, baby. But until next time, we're fourth in fantasy. Thank you for all the support. Tap in with us this weekend, and we'll see y'all then. Till next time.